All right, let's talk about a home improvement project that, well, let's be honest, we've all thought about doing it ourselves at some point. Replacing a simple electrical outlet. I mean, come on, how tough can it really be? You pop off the faceplate, you've got two screws, two wires, bing, bang, boom, you're done. 5 minutes tops. But what if I told you that entire idea is dangerously, completely wrong? Yep, you heard that right. If you ask the electricians who have to come in and fix the messes, they'll tell you that quick fix is actually one of the riskiest jobs you can possibly take on by yourself. And the truly scary part? One tiny mistake can set off a chain reaction with catastrophic results, often without you even knowing it for months or years. So, what gives? Why is something that looks so simple actually so dangerous? Well, it's because it has nothing to do with that $5 plastic outlet you're holding. The real danger, that's what's lurking unseen just behind the drywall. This quote right here really nails it. You see, that outlet isn't an island. It's more like a single stop on a huge, interconnected subway system of wires and breakers and junctions, and every single part of that system has its own age, its own history, and its own hidden weak spots. Just think about what could be back there. You might have wiring from the 70s mixed with stuff from the 90s. You could have old aluminum wire trying to play nice with new copper parts, which they don't. You might find outlets wired with a shortcut called backstabbing, where the wire is just pushed into a hole instead of screwed down tight. And those connections, they get loose over time. You have no idea what else is on that circuit. And get this, even how tight you make one single screw can be the difference between a safe home and a major fire hazard. All these hidden complexities, they lead to some very real, very serious dangers. And here's the thing that's so terrifying. These problems don't usually announce themselves with a flash and a bang. They're silent. They build up quietly, sometimes for months, even years, right up until the moment it's way too late. So what's the number one mistake, the biggest failure that professionals see over and over again? It's this, a loose connection. I know, it sounds so minor, right? But in the world of electricity, loose is a four-letter word. It is the root cause of the worst DIY electrical disasters, period. Let me walk you through how this disaster unfolds. It all starts when a wire isn't tightened down just right. At that tiny point of weakness, electrical resistance starts to build up. And you know what resistance creates? Heat. A lot of heat. Think of an electric stovetop coil glowing red. That's resistance at work. Now just imagine that intense heat inside your wall, right next to dry wood and paper and insulation. It has absolutely nowhere to escape. And that is exactly how a house fire starts. And this brings us to a ticking time bomb hidden in millions of older homes: aluminum wiring. You see, if you take a brand new outlet, which is made for modern copper wire, and you hook it up to old aluminum wires, you've just created an incredibly dangerous mismatch. The two metals just don't play well together. Over time, the aluminum corrodes, the connection gets loose, and suddenly you have that perfect recipe for disaster: resistance, heat, and extreme fire risk. But it's not just about loose wires. There's another invisible danger, and this one is all about our modern lifestyles. It comes down to a simple fact. The circuit you're messing with might already be completely overloaded. I mean, just think about it. We've got laptops running, gaming systems, smart speakers, high-powered chargers for our phones, maybe a space heater in the corner. Every single one of them adds to the electrical load. Your simple outlet swap could literally be the final straw on a circuit that was already struggling to keep up, leading to overheating wires or breakers that just constantly trip. And this right here is where the gap between doing it yourself and hiring a pro becomes enormous. It really is all about perception. Where you and I see a couple of wires, an electrician sees a whole story, a whole set of clues that tells them what's really going on. The difference is just, it's night and day. Where you see a simple plastic outlet, they see a tiny bit of browning that screams long-term overheating. Where you just see a wire, they feel that it's stiff and brittle, a dead giveaway that the insulation is failing. That missing screw you barely noticed? To them, that's a huge red flag for a critical grounding problem. So you see, it really boils down to this. A pro isn't just there to swap out a part. They're there to diagnose the health of the entire system behind that part. It's not about making it work for today. It's about making sure it's safe for years and years to come. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the risks. But look, the point of all this isn't just to scare you. It's to empower you. Because knowing what to look for is the single best way to prevent a problem. So let's shift gears and talk about how to keep your home safe. Believe it or not, your home's electrical system will almost always try to tell you when something is wrong. It sends out warning signs. And your outlets, they're the messengers on the front lines. All you have to do is learn to read those signs, to speak their language, so you can spot trouble before it becomes a disaster. All right, these are the big ones, the absolute non-negotiable red flags. If an outlet ever feels warm to the touch, if you hear any kind of buzzing or crackling, if it sparks when you plug something in, if the outlet itself is loose and wiggles in the wall, or if you see any black or brown scorch marks around it, stop. That is not a DIY project. That is your house screaming for you to call a professional right now. So let's bring it all home. The risk of a DIY electrical repair is never, ever just about that one outlet. It's about the potential for fire, it's about the danger of electric shock, and it's about creating a silent, slow-building problem that puts the safety of your entire home in jeopardy. And that leaves us with one final question. When you really think about it, when you weigh the small cost of that $5 part against the massive hidden risks to your home and your family, is doing it yourself really worth it?